Things you would never bring up in therapy, you could bring up here.
Can love bombing feel genuinely real?
Let me tell you a quick story. I was on Dak Shepard and Monica Padman's Armchair Expert once. It was like 10 years ago. And I remember after the podcast, I was throwing Dax a lot of compliments because I'm a big fan of his and I really love his character arc. And I realized it didn't land, or I don't feel like it landed because, those things need to be earned, right? So like love bombing, it has to be earned. If on date one, you are just getting a ton of compliments or giving compliments, it won't resonate, but over time, yeah, it will mean more and feel less false if what you are saying, the love bombing, if there's truth to it. And the truth comes over time when you get to know someone for real and it's earned, not early on, right? And I think that's how we know that love bombing is in fact bombing and not coming from an organic place, is that the pacing was way too fast, If I had been friends with Dax for a while, then what I said would probably land differently and he would feel it. But because I was just a guest on his podcast, it just felt very slippery, right? So love bombing is real and not bombing if it is earned. And over time, the stuff that someone tells you or you tell someone else makes sense because it was earned.
How do you know when you've fallen in love? I'm 35 and don't think I ever have.
I'm sure it's going to change because as I change, my definitions change, of course. But for me, love is not a constant. It is not a knowing all at once, although sometimes it can feel that way. I think that you love someone because it comes in moments, right? Like when you catch yourself watching them do something stupid and mundane, like folding laundry or humming off key, and your chest gets soft, right? You have this like, oh, I love this person. Or when you're both in the car, not talking, and it's not awkward, right? It's actually easy to do nothing with someone and enjoy doing that nothing. To me is a sign that you love this person. Like your silence knows theirs, right? When your first instinct isn't to impress, but just to be yourself. You're allowed to be yourself and to be real with this person. They love your messiness, not just your highlight reel. And you love their messiness as well, right? Also, just like simple things like they text, "Did you eat?" And you realize they know you've forgot your basic survival needs, or that they're thinking about you. They see your worst, ugly crying and overthinking and spiraling. And they're like, okay, how can I support you? What do you need, right? They're able to hold a safe space for you. You share your fires, not offer. You share your fries. And that's how you know you love someone. You share your fries or your dessert, right? Anyway, love doesn't always kick the door down. Sometimes it shows up in the way that they remember how you like your coffee, or shows up in a simple touch or a card or a note, right? Or a gesture. Or the way their hand finds yours under the table. Yeah, why not? It's not always a feeling. Sometimes it's a choice to stay, to lean in, to be seen, to be understood. And if you've never felt it before, it's not because you're incapable. It might be because the version of you who's ready for it is still under construction, right? Love is in the moments. At least that's kind of how I define how I know I love someone these days. And the moments are what make you believe it.
Is it true that you just know when you found the one?
Ooh, great question. First, I'm not a big fan of the term "the one." I think it's dangerous. I like the one in front of you. That's what I like. So that is the one. Who you choose to love is the one. Because if you really believe that there's only one person for you to be with in this world, you're going to be looking over the fence a lot when there's conflict, right? And so it can be a way out. It can be just a term that gets you to see if the grass is greener. And I think it's very, very programming. So there is no one. There's the one in front of you you choose to love. Okay. And then as far as do you feel it? Do you know? I think yes. I think it comes in moments. I think it isn't as obvious as we would like to think or have been programmed to think with rom-coms and Disney movies and stuff. I don't think it's eyes meet across the room and you have a gut feeling. I mean, sure, maybe that's possible, but I think for most of us, we choose to love someone, and in moments, we know this person is the one that we are supposed to be with and that we want to be with, and also that we're going to learn and grow the most with because of the moments, because of the moment after conflict, there was healthy repair, because of the moment when you see that this person held a safe space for you, because a moment, that your partner brought you something home from lunch. It could be small moments, big moments, meaningful moments, corrective experience moments. But I think we know because we see them in moments.
Will I ever be able to love again after being traumatized?
Love again after being traumatized. Love is actually what's prescribed. And I'm not necessarily saying that you have to love someone else to heal from your trauma, although that can be a big part of this. I'm talking about loving yourself, learning how to love yourself, relearning how to love yourself. The act of loving yourself in a healthy way, to give yourself a safe container where your nervous system feels calm and relaxed and you trust yourself again. That is part of the healing. And once you do that, which is a forever process, then loving someone else, it doesn't have to be romantic love, but any kind of love, friends, family, in a way that is healthy, can be a corrective experience, right? And that to me is the medicine, is the healing, a huge part of the healing when it comes to trauma and being afraid to love because of your story and what has happened.
Following up on the question about my boyfriend being best friends with a girl, what if that girl is his ex?
Yes, that makes it more complicated, but what if the ex is respectful to you? What if the ex has his or her own partner? What if the ex is a childhood friend? What if the ex is an amazing, lovely person? I just think there is no blanket elimination of exes just because they are exes. Does that make sense? So it depends on the intention of the ex. It depends on their relationship. It depends how the ex treats you. So there's a lot of factors, but for most people, it is this kind of like hard line. If someone is an ex, or if you have dated this person or been with this person, they should never be in your life. And I think that is narrow, unfair, and kind of sad, because we can be friends with our exes and we could have amazing relationships with our exes, and our exes can be friends with people that we are in relationships with today. It is rare, I gotta say, it is rare because of the jealousy and these hard lines, but it can also be beautiful.
What's the best way to help my partner understand that my need for clarity isn't a need for control?
This is a great question, and I think it's just that, to say that, hey, if you feel like I'm controlling you, I want you to know that I'm not trying to control you, but I'm asking for clarity. And also say what that clarity is going to do to you, to the relationship. Why do you need this clarity, right? And also be clear on your side and what you're feeling. Ask your partner, hey, is there anything that you need clarity on? So I love this idea that when we're having conversations with our partner, we are coming with them instead of at them. And with that mindset, if you had that mindset, I think the way that you speak, the energy, the tone, and the way that you go into things will be telling. You know, a lot of people that don't have that mindset, usually myself included, if I don't take that beat, usually I will default to coming at my partner, right? A lot of people who are avoidant, going around your partner. So coming with your partner means to be vulnerable, to be clear, to express your needs, but not in a ultimatum or demanding way, but just say, hey, from love, um, I need more clarity, and I want to give you clarity on how I feel, you know? Help me understand, because I'm trying to understand before trying to be understood.
When does standing in the fire with someone become toxic instead of healthy?
In one of my books, I don't know which one, I wrote, I will give you my hand, but not my life. And that's based off in my first marriage, I gave her my life, not just my hand. And the whole ship went down, right? And so my learning is in relationships, not just romantic relationships, but also with friendships. You can sit with them in their fire. So whether that is addiction, depression, whatever they're going through, but you can't allow their fire to catch you on fire, right? They can't take you hostage. So you ask them, how can I be supportive? You know, but at the same time, you have to ask yourself what you're willing to do, how you're willing to show up, how much energy, how much are you willing to contribute, but also protecting your own space, you know? And I got to say, this is hard because for most of us, we don't know space because we gave everything. We grew up fast. We self-sacrificed. And so one of the things that I used to believe, and I think part of this is cultural, being Korean, is like, you go down, I go down with you, you know? This is the our marriage is the Titanic, and no one's getting out of this alive. That's not what I believe anymore. We have our own lives, our own containers, and I will give you my hand. I will ask you how I can support you, how can I help you during this time, but I will not give you my life. You're not taking me with you. I know for some people that sounds selfish. I used to think that. It is not. It's actually healthy. And here's the other thing. If both of you guys go down, well, there's no chance, there's no hope, right? So one person has to actually be in a space where they can give you a hand, you know? So ask your partner what he needs, and then ask yourself what you're willing to give without giving everything, right? You're not giving your life to someone, you're giving your hand to someone.
What is the number one factor that makes a relationship sustainable?
Hands down, the ability to repair ruptures, and not just to repair, but also give each other a corrective experience. Because as we have fights and repair, we start to learn more about ourselves because no one's perfect and there's residue and comes up. So it's this consistency of giving each other a corrective experience where you prove not only to your mind, but to your body that this is safe, that this is what love looks like, that this is healthy. It's this digesting, and sorry about the long pause. I'm 52. My short term is gone. What was I talking about? Digesting in your body, not in logic, this corrective experience of what love can feel like, is going to be what's healing, right? And so if you don't have the ability, or your partner or both of you guys, to not only repair ruptures, meaning to fight in a healthy way where there's resolution and understanding and healing, right? Dissolving resentment. If you're not doing that and also giving each other a corrective love experience, I always feel like it's only a matter of time before, you know, the house of cards comes crumbling down. You really have to learn how to fight without fighting.
Do you have any advice on deciding whether to stay in a marriage or leave?
You know, this is probably the most popular question I get. And let me ask you a few questions back, starting with, Is this marriage fixable? And by fixable, I'm saying, are there two people in this container willing to work on some shit, to look at some things? Because one person cannot fix an entire marriage, right? It's two people. One person can change the dynamic. One person can go first. One person can take ownership, and hopefully the other person then sees that and does the same. But two people have to do the heavy lifting. And here's the other thing. When I say does this marriage, can it be fixable? Does it have a chance to be reborn if you let it die? Right? Sometimes I feel like marriages need to die for a new marriage, same couple, new story, for a new marriage to emerge. Because there's so much history, so much resentment, so much whatever, and I feel like that relationship isn't fixable, but maybe a new relationship is, if two people come to the table willing to change themselves, not each other, and start all over and create a new dynamic.